So one of the jokes in this movie was especially funny for the both of us because I still use a Zune. There's the logo as proof to all those that have seen Guardians of the Galaxy. Yes, I'm that kind of person.
You got some young Michael Jackson on that thing?
Oh yes, I do, but I'm not going to play it because I don't want a copyright strike.
We could play it on the way home.
Exactly. Hello and welcome back to another midnight showing. As always, I'm Kelly.
I'm DJ.
And we just got out of Guardians of the Galaxy
2.
Volume 2. We can't actually call it 2 these days. It have to be Volume 2 or Part 2 or Prequel 2. It can't be just 2 because for some reason Hollywood is realizing that they just stick numbers on there, their profits go down. It's probably because all of the sequels that you make suck.
Yeah,
Ugh.
Speaking of which, he made Tarzan 2, which was technically a prequel.
Yeah.
The actual sequel was a tie-in to a TV show, which actually wasn't that bad.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Guardians. You had a lot of things to live up to. Some pretty big shoes. And you didn't. I'm sorry. I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for that.
They're setting up the entire Infinity War.
Yes, and didn't we just get mad at Batman v Superman for doing basically the same thing?
Because they tried to cram it into one movie instead of giving it time to simmer.
How much of it was
bit.
crammed into this movie? Please. We're going to talk about this? Because we'll talk about this. Okay, it's not that bad. This movie is still good. It's enjoyable. And I didn't think it was going to live up to the hype of the first one because, let's face it, most of the hype from the first one came from the fact that nobody thought it was going to be good. Everyone thought that it was going to be the Marvel movie that was the big bomb, which turned out to be Iron Fist instead. But that's a review for a different day. But no, I knew that this was... I went into this movie completely wanting to give it its own cred, let it live up to its own things, and it was really cluttered. It didn't feel like half of them needed to be there. This whole movie revolves around Yondu, Peter, and his dad. Spoiler. It really does. Everyone else there is really superfluous.
Yeah, even in the trailers... Like, they advertise Mantis and Nebula as being part of the team. Mantis does next to nothing. She has a couple of funny lines here and there, but Nebula doesn't do anything except try to kill Gamora.
Yeah.
I'm like...
She did try to ram a spaceship down her ass, so I'll give her credit for that. And Amelia Pond, because I can't remember your actress's name. I think it's Kerrigan Gillian. I apologize. I'll try to remember to put the actual name there. You know, she's doing everything she can to make this role as interesting as possible, but really, she has no point of being here. But before we actually get into, the long section of the nitpicking, yes, there's a lot of nitpick things I will be going over. Let's talk about what it did right. First off, the visuals are fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I think that the CGI is a little overused. I would have preferred some actual sets for them to interact with. But all of the visuals are still bloody fucking amazing. Let's just get off on the biggest note right there. And when you're doing some space battles, things exploding, right down to just a baby Groot throwing up, the visuals are fucking amazing.
Yeah, all the comedy, all the timing on a lot of the comedy is spot on.
And let's be honest, most of that is Dave Bautista as Drax.
Oh my God.
Drax, again, he doesn't feel like he has a point in this movie, but whenever he opened his mouth, it was pretty fucking funny. I don't know how a wrestler gets such good comedic timing that's not named The Rock.
Yeah, I'm like, he probably trained with The Rock.
Yes. You can tell that he wants to be in this movie, and he makes that comedy work so much. Between him and Baby Groot, there are more laughs in this movie than most comedies that we go see. Oh, what else is good in there? Now, let's talk about Peter Quill and his dad. So, his dad, played by,
No, a little not so known actor. You might never heard of him. Kurt Russell.
yeah, I kept wanting to confuse him with, Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton.
Yeah, I kept everything that just popped in my head was Bill Paxton. I'm like, no, that's not him. He's not the guy from Independence Day. Shut up. Just what's his real name? Yes, Kurt Russell as Ego the Living Planet. I might be misremembering my Marvel comics. I'm a DC guy. I always am. But I don't think the Ego was actually supposed to be a Celestial. And I remember that Peter's dad is a Celestial. I'm glad they acknowledge this and say that Ego is actually a Celestial in this movie, and I might be wrong, but yeah, just one of those things. I'm not really sure if that's the case. But yeah, Kurt Russell and Chris Pratt, their chemistry is really spot on, especially when they have they're catching their little catch. They literally make a ball of lights and start throwing at each other.
Yeah.
We're fun, dad, and evil, and
Yeah, Peter, he has this monologue about how he was never able to, like, just play catch with his dad. And then they play catch with a ball of light.
and they're gonna reshape the universe to all be Ego, the living planet, which is the big reveal. Which I'm sorry, I kind of called that Kurt Russell was gonna be the bad guy. Oh, but it's not a bad thing because they still have chemistry with each other, and you really do feel for Star-Lord in this movie, especially when he's talking about who his real dad is and everything that he wanted and he was missing. It really does cement more to his character. In fact, a lot of the characters in this movie kind of get that treatment. You get Gamora and Nebula having their little one-offs and always talking about how, I just wanted a sister, and you had to make it always about winning, and all this stuff. It does add stuff to the characters when they do that. They're not just walking joke machines. Yeah. They're people. Yondu especially gets a lot of it.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when they openly acknowledge that he botched the job he was hired to do. In the last movie, it was because that guy was a jackass. No, in this movie, it's because he realized that Ego was killing all the kids he brought to him. And instead of wanting more kids to die, he instead raised one and hid him from Ego. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I mean, it really does just give the character stuff. You got anything else in the good section?
The 3D, there were some parts where it did work.
Yeah. The 3D had some good moments, especially when Rocket's single-handedly taking out Yondu's entire Ravager crew.
Oh, yeah.
You can tell that Bradley Cooper is still having so much fun playing Rocket's voice. Yeah. He doesn't even need to do the on-screen visuals. He just needs to do his voice.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, we're kind of dancing around it. So let's move on to what they screwed up.
I was gonna say the 3D was fine. It just didn't live up to the next one. Yeah. I'll be an advocate for 3D and say that the first Guardians of the Galaxy had better moments. It really worked with something like this.
This one wasn't as good as the first one, but it wasn't bad, so I don't know if putting it in the bad section's the worst thing. Yeah. But, yeah, the story is kind of jumbled. Like, really jumbled. It is very, very scattered-brained. Especially for the first hour of this. Nothing seems to be connecting at all. And that's mostly because you're I can't really call him the primary antagonist because Ego takes that slot later in the movie, but the first antagonist, who is just always the side thing, these gold alien hypocrite people. Oh God, they had no point in being in this movie. They didn't need to show up at the end. They didn't need to have their little pod space battle. Although I will admit it was a cute touch to make their literal pods be video games.
Yeah,
that was
cute. They sounded like an arcade.
And they made it out to be like they're all just spoiled little brats, which I guess kind of ties into the whole father-kid thing that they were doing throughout the whole movie. But really, these gold aliens, I defy you to remember any of their names. The only name that I remember is the Sovereign.
The Sovereign.
That's it.
Even then, I'm gonna probably forget it by the time I go to bed tonight.
Yeah, I mean, compare them to the Kree in the first movie, who had an active theology. Yes, Ronan the Accuser was still a pretty wasted villain, but you have to admit, you remember him. You'll remember Ego in this movie. You will not remember who these fucking Sovereign people are, other than apparently a member of Stargate SG-1 is their High Priestess's secretary.
If you're that big of a nerd to notice that.
Yes.
We were just looking it up on IMDb.
I noticed him in the movie, too. I just couldn't remember his actor's name, which is Ben Browder. But yeah, he's basically a secretary in this.
Which segues almost perfectly into your next big annoyance, which I need to hear this. Go on.
Okay, so this is spoilers for the end credit scene, or one of them. We'll get on to how many of them there were in a second. But, okay, so after they failed to kill the Guardians, the High Priestess decides to make a new, engineered, awesome super being of terribleness. His name is Adam Warlock. The same Adam Warlock that you guys that Disney did actually set up inside of the first Guardians of the Galaxy. When the Collector's collection is destroyed, and we had that wonderful scene with Howard the Duck, you can see Adam Warlock's cocoon is hatched in the background. It was a very, very clever way of setting him up. It wasn't in your face about it, everyone got a laugh, and nerds found something more.
Oh yeah, there were tons of speculation about who it could possibly be besides Howard the Duck. People saw Cosmo the space dog, which appeared in the credits sequence.
Yes, and the problem with this time is that they not only did you set it up in the last movie, but you made reference to that exact same setup when you had Seth Green show up again as Howard the fucking Duck. Yeah. You're saying that, okay, you're retconning the first movie while still saying that still happened. What the fuck? Okay? I know it's nitpicky, I know that, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. Either you retcon it or you don't. I mean, this is like Doctor Strange with the whole Mordo scene where he takes the magic out of the guy at the very end of the credits. Although inside the next movie, he's suddenly a good guy and he never did that. But then you make reference to it as they come face to face with that guy again, and he says, "Oh, you took my magic." You can't do that. You can't say that it didn't happen, but it did. You can't. Okay? This is movie making 101. And I hate this. I hate this stupid annoyance. And this whole movie is filled with a lot of these stupid annoyances. One of them is the gold aliens in particular. Okay? Your existence is contradictory and, frankly speaking, really, really, really dated. You had no point in being in this movie. And even in the end credit sequence where you're making Adam. Why? Because they took a couple of your fucking batteries? You just wasted your entire fucking armada on this. Your armada is dead. Your leaders would not let you make Adam Warlock. You would be fired. Or genetically purified, I guess would be the better way of stating this. And we already mentioned how little everybody else plays a role in this movie. This is literally about Star-Lord, Ego, and Yondu. Everybody else is just meandering around. And yes, you get good comedic timing from Drax and Baby Groot, and occasionally get a cool action sequence with Gamora picking up the mother of all fucking guns and unloading on Nebula. But for fuck's sake!
Yeah, she uses more. They made a joke about that in the movie.
Yeah.
Where Gamora uses more guns than she does, like, her sword.
You have to figure out a point for these characters. If they're going to be inside of the movie, you know, it's okay to make them more background characters. The problem is that you've got all these big actors who need certain amounts of screen time, and you're trying to distribute that screen time more evenly, but they don't have a point that adds to the movie. It's just monotonous.
Yeah, that's the problem I sense when they finally do get to the Infinity War. Or another Avengers movie. Or a tie-in like Civil War.
Yeah, when
There's going to be too many people. You have the Guardians of the Galaxy, which is already 5 characters. You have Iron Man. You have I'm sure War Machine's going to be in it somewhere.
Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if they throw an Ironheart inside of that.
They're setting up Spider-Man. That movie comes later.
oh yeah, we got Spider-Man, we got Thor, we got Hulk, we got Black Widow. Hawkeye's gonna come back because of course he's gonna come back. Vision, Captain, Black Panther, fucking Falcon, fucking Ant-Man, we've got Doctor Strange, we've got all the Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, it's just, there's too much here. I do get what they're trying to do with this bigger, better thing, but then this movie even has this sequence where they try to set up a Ravengers spin-off with Sylvester Stallone and a bunch of other people. And it's, oh, okay, is this going to be a TV show, a spin-off movie? Are they going to be a part of the Infinity War too?
Yeah, I see that problem with Justice League 2, except that we haven't had movies with these characters with the Justice League. We haven't gotten to know them like we have the Infinity War.
Oh, I don't mind if you don't use some characters in a context like this. I mean, comic books have been doing that for years.
They're going to do this giant crossover, and then they're going to release the individual movies.
Well, DC's still doing it backwards. They should have had some more individual movies before.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
But it's just that the problem here is that this is kind of a microcosm of what's going to be happening with the Infinity Wars if they don't write them better. You know, some characters are going to need more screen time than others, and you have to allow that. We don't need to focus on the raccoon, Rocket Raccoon inside of this, as much as we need to focus on Star-Lord. So instead of giving us Rocket Raccoon more scenes, how about you just cut his screen time to only what's needed and go back to Star-Lord?
Yeah.
There's an entire sequence inside of this that admittedly is pretty funny with Baby Groot trying to find Yondu's fin, but it goes on for like 10 fucking minutes. That time, you could have shaved most of that off and just said that Baby Groot, you know, have him only come back once or twice. Did he need to come back 6 or 7 times? Admittedly, when he comes back with the toe,
Yeah,
I broke down laughing. I admit that.
Because everybody in the theater is in agreement that this is technically, Disney owns this. It's PG-13.
Yes.
And I think by that point the movie earned its PG-13 rating. But you just have...
And they still drop an F-bomb.
Yeah.
Even though they made reference to him.
Baby Groot holding a severed toe with the blood and everything.
Yeah, no, it's funny, but
it's a dark joke.
But at the same time, couldn't that have just been squeezed in there without the 5 or 6 times they had him do it? And it just keeps going on and on and on. And I will give credit to Sean Gunn, what's his name? James Gunn's brother, who's inside of this movie, who plays Yondu's second in command. He really did step up his game and actually acted in this movie. But really, how much screen time did he get inside of this movie that he didn't really need? We need to talk about Star-Lord, not talk about Yondu's second in command here. We don't need to focus so much on Dave Bautista or Gamora inside this movie, but they have a lot more screen time than they really make any good use of. It didn't know how to balance its cast very well, is what I'm saying. It didn't know how to balance it from a writing perspective. We still get the jokey Guardians here, but at the same time, it's pretty clear this wasn't written to be a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. It was meant to be a Star-Lord movie. Yeah. You got anything else in the negatives? I know I'm kind of rambling.
No.
Yeah, I think you kind of get where I'm coming from.
You brought all the things you said. You brought to my attention that I wasn't thinking much of, other than the other characters. Out of those three, Rocket probably had more screen time. Drax had a couple funny lines.
He had some pretty good funny lines. Mantis was pointless. She was just there to put him to sleep for 5 minutes. Like I was saying,
in the advertisements, she's in it as a prominent member. And I asked myself, I don't know who Mantis is. Why should I care? What does she do for the Guardians? I thought maybe you know because you follow this stuff. You read the comics more than I do.
I don't remember Mantis at all in the comics. Again, I'm a DC guy. So, Marvel Universe, I don't know as well as other people. I admit that fully and wholeheartedly, and I might even be wrong on the ego thing. But I don't remember a Mantis at all. I don't. So, yeah, let's just move on to the final verdict. This is a jumbled mess, but I still think it deserves a must-see.
It does, yes. Get a group together, and
it's a fun time.
Yeah.
It has a lot of really good jokes inside of this that really do land, and it does a lot of things right. The visuals, the acting from everyone is basically top-notch. It's just that clearly this is getting bigger than it was intended to do, and that bigness is kind of starting to collapse in on itself.
Yeah, outside of mentioning the first movie, it really has nothing to do with the Infinity Stones or the upcoming Infinity War.
Which I thought was kind of a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
I think that too many of these movies have to do with Infinity Stones. You know, I kind of wish for the old Iron Man movies that everyone says are crap, but I still like, where, you know, we can do another thing with a different villain for a little while. Which is fine. I mean, they gave us the Adam Warlock, and he's supposed to be holding the last of the Infinity Stones. So, like Vision, it's in his head. But, honestly, for all of its problems, I still had a good time with the movie. I have a lot of nitpicks that are going to bug the shit out of me. But I don't...
Is new.
Yes, it's a comic book movie. Of course it's going to bug the shit out of me.
Come for his rants, stay for our segues.
Wait, segues? What's a segue? Is that one of those things you ride? Take it literally like tracks.
My brother rode one of those at Disneyland once. Segues like that.
But yeah, my final verdict on this one, it's a must-see. You're going to enjoy yourself, even if you do get annoyed with it. It's not terrible. It's not... Hell, it's not Iron Fist. Let's just put it like that. It's not Iron Fist.
I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to watch those. They're already setting up the Defenders.
Oh, and Defenders comes out in August.
Goodness.
But yeah, that's it for me. You got anything else on this?
Yeah, like I said, get a group together. You're going to have a fun time. If you're film buffs like us, tell us in the comments. See? Segue. Tell us in the comments if you noticed these problems if you watched this before you saw the movie, or if you're going to see the movie again. Mm-hmm. See what your friends think. See if it's a jumbled mess like he thought. I thought it was. I had a great time.
Yeah, no, it's a good time. It's just, especially comparing it to the first one.
Yeah,
it's not a great time.
Let's move into. Well, we're at the final verdict, aren't we?
Yeah,
we have to talk about the Stan Lee cameo.
Oh, yeah. Before we go, we have to mention the Stan Lee cameos.
Yeah.
So, there's a really funny sequence inside of this where Rocket decides to make 700 jumps at once.
Yeah. That's the group puking thing.
And in the middle of this sequence, he just happens to jump between a world where Stan Lee is in a spacesuit talking to the Watchers.
Everybody was thinking, wouldn't it be awesome? And I think Stanley would be up for this if they made him a Watcher.
If they
in
made
the Marvel Universe.
Yes.
And he shows up with the Watchers in the Infinity War.
Yeah, no, they did it inside of this one. It's just they basically confirmed he's not a Watcher. He's just a guy who keeps popping up, who tells them a bunch of stories. Because that's what the Watchers do. And at the end of the movie, they leave him behind in the middle of nowhere. Bye! Now, be sure to follow us on the social media. It's all in the link to the description down below. Yeah, and I think that's it for us. So,
That's it.
as always, I'm Kelly.
DJ.
See you all
Next time.